Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the SilverSilk and More channel. My name is Nilay Patel. I'm the owner, designer, and educator here at SilverSilk and More, and I have got the fabulous, I'm going to do an unveil ready, Danielle Wickes with me.
Hey, Nilay.
Hi, Danielle. Thanks
Hi.
so much for just hanging out with me this evening.
Anytime.
It's always a pleasure. I feel like we've planned this class for a little while and some time passes. We win awards. I don't know, I'm just saying. And then here we are.
I know, time's going really fast.
It
Just
is.
like speeding by. So.
It is. We were just talking for everyone out there, we were just talking about how I had a week and a half, I feel like, with work-wise stuff, not even the fun job, but my day job. And then I was just like, these weeks, man, we got to stop. And then Danielle kindly reminded me that there's going to be another week next week. So yeah, there's always weeks in our lives. So in our calendars. Well, how's everything going on the John Bead and your personal creativity?
Oh, it's going great. I've always got so many projects going. So it's, 3 things on the table at once, minimum, and then, planning for more. So it just keeps
I
going.
hear you.
But
Yeah,
it's fun.
absolutely. That's
Yeah.
good. I'm glad. I can understand. I'm planning for several things myself for the end of the year. Some stuff I haven't really solidified yet. I've been talking to Miss Joan Dice on the back end, who's helping us today with
Hey,
our
Joan.
shares, and also Teresa and Greta are in the house as well over on the Silkies Facebook group. But Joan is going to be posting links and answering some questions and occasionally flashing some questions on screen if you guys have anything. So big shout out to Joan, and let's give her some little golf claps for helping out with SilverSilk. And Teresa and Greta too, of course. Thank you, ladies. Colleen is also in the house, who usually helps out on my YouTube, and I love Colleen so much. She's quite the treasure, and I just wanted to say hello to her as well. So, what do we got today? I gotta add this to the stream here because we got you really. I feel like you always outdo yourself with the next project.
Eventually I'll have to keep. Yeah, no, thank you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. You bring always something special and so delightful to the table each and every single time. And this week, or at least this class for SilverSilk and More is no exception. Um, you're so creative, and I love to see what you do with coordinating SilverSilk tools, whether it be the jewel loom or just really just anything with SilverSilk in it. So do you want to talk through well, I'll shut up now so you can talk.
Oh, no, thank you so much. Hey, that's a huge compliment coming from you, because every time I see one of your designs, I'm like, oh, wow, how do you think of that? How do you think of all those things that you come up with? And every time there's something I love the one you did last week. Was it last week where you put the seed beads on the jump rings?
Yeah, it was last week, or yeah, it was last week. That time and its concept it doesn't matter for me, but yes, yeah, that was a little like leather tie on at the end, and just adding some jump rings with seed beads, which actually those seed beads belong from the JJB kit that was yours.
Oh, they do? Oh, wow,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
So I brought a little bit of your mind and design sense into my design too. So we feed off each other's creative energy.
Yeah, that what's on the desk will get work with. I've noticed that if it's out and it's on my desk, it's going to get pulled in, right? Because it's there, and I don't have to go digging in a box for it. So
exactly, that was also a very appealing part of the whole process. It was just right there, and it coordinated so perfectly. So,
oh, I'm glad. Oh, awesome. So yeah, well, I got to meet Juliana at Bead Fest when I was there earlier in mid-August. So was that like 2 weeks ago already?
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't know. It was sometime around the 17th, 18th or so we were there. And so it got me thinking, and she sent me these buttons, these beautiful like little wooden buttons.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. Juliana is another creative force to be reckoned with. She's just such a great inventor of design concepts, ideas, tools, and just such a great human being in spirit. And together, her and I had, and I would say mostly her, birthed this loom that was inspired from the SilverSilk chains. And we just came up with this entire new series of designs that we can do. And then artists like yourself and designers use it in such creative ways, like the class that we're about to get into, like this, that it's so mesmerizing.
I love it. I think it's really cool that you can just throw the SilverSilk on it, capture chain, it works pipe chain, all of it, and just start stitching and looming right into the medium like that. That's just the coolest thing ever. And that's literally all I did was I took some beautiful pearlesque capture chain, and I had a couple different colors going. I think this one was like a gold inside.
Yeah, that one looks like the fall chain, and I think this one might have been that one is it's what I named fall because it kind of reminds me of seasonally, yeah, the fall kind of colors, the golds and browns. And then you've woven these gorgeous beads that coordinate with it so well.
I just went to town, just kind of coordinating the colors that were in the chain. And in this pearlesque one there's like little hints of green.
That's the tinsel. So it's weird how that tinsel is, because with any sort of aurora borealis finish, there's always some hints of like greens and purples, I feel like, that kind of creep in there. But I think that's what gives it its polish and its sort of shimmer. You make it look so good on camera. I can never get it.
It's just like popping out of there. I grabbed blue and I grabbed some green when I switched to this one, because I thought that's just gonna just be perfect. And it came out so cool. Like you can see it shining in the light here. So I'm gonna love
those colors really brought it out.
Yeah. And so yeah, I thought I would just show you guys, like, and this is all kind of stuff I feel like in some way it's been done before, all of these steps. But putting it all together, it's really fun just to see, and it's fast. It's really fast to do. And I've got this one ready to finish. It's ready for its button. But I've got another one here to show starting it.
Sweet. All right, let's just get into it.
And so all you'll really need is, we'll figure out your closure option first. If you want to do it exactly how we did this one, you'll need a button. And then you'll need one side of a finishing clasp. So this is one of the 3 prongs. I found that one to be a really nice fit for how wide I made the loomed section. But I think a 2 would also work. You could just pull it together more. So or you could even put like 1 on each side. If you only had a single, you could just do each end with 1. So that would work. But on this one, like I was noticing, it really worked with the 3 nicely.
Yeah, there's almost like a little 3 millimeter, 3.5 millimeter gap between the last 2 channels. So it really does accommodate those seed beads pretty well.
Yeah, and that came out really well. So I was really happy with that. I made my loop too big on my first one. This was my prototype. And so all I did was just stitch a little seed bead in there to make it smaller. You could put some charms on that. But on my
good idea.
Yeah, so you can turn a mistake into something amazing. And on this one, I think I've dialed it down to where like it's really going to fit the button true, like without me having to do that. So we'll see when it comes off.
Okay, cool.
But either way, I've got options there. And so that's the, let's see, you'll need some pearlesque or capture chain of your choice. The loom, you'll need a clasp and a little bit of leather to finish your button. If you wanted to do the button this way, it's just one of many ways you could do it. And then of course seed beads and thread and needles. So let's see, all of my seed beads are size 8. And I literally just grabbed all of my favorite colors off of the table earlier. I kind of went with some frosted rainbowy. But the ones here there's like a Picasso seafoam and a matte root beer with a light bronze, and this one called limestone. That one's in there. I listed all these colors out. I actually have this one as a mix in my shop, so I listed all those guys out. If you want to know what the DB numbers are, they're all Miyuki ones. You can snag those numbers if you like that mix.
Oh, perfect.
And then this is the Wildfire. I'm just using regular 0.006.
I love Wildfire.
Yeah, me too. I think I use it every single day. Like, there's not a day where I don't use it for something.
Yeah, they well, especially the fact that it also comes in a ton of different colors. It just makes it so easy to bead weave with.
It does, yeah, it really does. And then you'll just need a beading needle. I've got a size 10 beading needle here, but I think you could use, like the jewel loom needles. Those would work too. I just like to work
Perfect.
with when I was kind of poking it through the capture chain. I
Mm-hmm.
kind of liked using the harder needle and the shorter one.
Oh, okay. Good tip. I think that's a good sturdy way to just sew it right through.
It worked for me, but I think they're all going to work,
Mm-hmm.
And so let's see, to set it up, you don't need much capture chain, just enough to run back and forth and leaving some space for your button. And so what I did is I kind of let it hang over about that much, which is probably 3 inches or 2.5 inches or so. And it's more than I needed, but it's just to give me something to maneuver when I'm attaching the clasp later. You could maybe get away with making it a little shorter if you want to save some of your chain. And just kind of making it tight. I love how it stays put once you've locked it in there like that. It's really nice.
Yeah, the wood makes it it's like soft enough and not as abrasive of a material for a loom, so that the chain can kind of stay its shape, if that kind of makes any sense.
It does. Yeah.
Some other types of looms that are a harder metal or whatever might end up scarring some of the chain knit, or marring it or bending it out of shape. But I've noticed that this loom really does accommodate nicely, and you're able to just pop it off the grooves pretty easily.
Yeah,
and the grooves channels were designed to fit the chains specifically too, which is great. She was, and I say she, but Juliana worked with her designer to kind of figure out what that length was going to be for between each groove. So it was really genius the way that they made it happen.
I think it's amazing. I'm always amazed by the inventiveness of jewelry designers and craft. Our industry is just full of inventors, right? Engineers.
Really, yeah, for sure.
Kind of blood to do that, so kind of cool just to see what everyone comes up with too, and I get to enjoy using them.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's it. That's setting it up. Super simple, super easy. And yeah, that's a great tip. Little extra. Oh, I see. You use them for earrings.
Yeah, that was
So maybe I should have left them a little bit.
Nugget from Joan there.
Oh, that's a great tip. Yeah, that's because I do have a little. I'll have probably maybe like that much left at the end. So see, I always save all my little pieces. And so what I did here is I just kind of measured where. I'll turn it this way, but where I'm starting is going to be like right about. Let's see, like right about here. I'm thinking. So giving me room for my button, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and grab some Wildfire here.
It just needs to be big. And I wonder if Juliana, since she's over on the YouTubes, can list what that size of that button is, or give us a millimeter.
Oh yeah, I can give it to you in inches. It looks like it's about 1.25 inches.
Roughly. Oh, perfect. Yeah. So that's how much you'd go down. Maybe just a tad more on that loop, and that way you have enough to kind of slide it through.
Yeah, exactly. That would be even better, like more mathematically sound way to do it. My iPhone, for sure. And knowing that I got it wrong the first time I tried it, also noteworthy. So yes, definitely measuring it.
That's okay. We all eyeball as artists too. I think I've just gotten into the habit of asking for measurements because everyone of my customers keep asking me for measurements. So no, I'm like, good. Let me preemptively ask that just in case.
That's totally wise. Because then you're not sitting there at the end trying to wing it. You're like, oh, okay, you set yourself up for an engineering task at the end.
Well, creative creative problem solving.
So true. I'm gonna use one of the. I know you like this color, so
Oh my gosh, I freaking love mustard. It just goes with everything every season. I don't care what anybody says. I just love it.
same here. So let's see. This is about, you said, 1.5 inches, or yeah. So I'm gonna go with, like, I had my tape measure. I set it aside somewhere, so I'll just go with my old school way. But I just went straight through the chain. So here's, let me show you a little close up what I did. Is this how you also do it? You just kind of try to go toward the center?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I also appreciate, because I don't know if everyone does it, if they work from closest to them and up, if that makes any sense, instead of working from the top down.
From the top down.
Working,
I notice a
yeah.
lot of loomers, they'll start up here and work
I do
down toward
too.
themselves.
I can't do that. I have to go from the bottom up.
Same here. I work from here up. But that's just, I've always done it that way. I don't know where it came from. I
Yeah,
must
I
have been
don't.
taught that way, maybe, or that was how whoever I watched on YouTube do it the first time had their camera set up.
Well, it's definitely nice to see that I'm not the only one, but also helpful, I think, because it is easier, I think, to work that way.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and of course now that I'm habit formed doing it this way, it's like I'm stuck that way. And so for I start my looms kind of differently than a lot of folks will do some kind of securing to their
hmm
side warp. But I never do, even on the other looming styles, like when I'm just doing, a regular wildfire warps, I never knot. I wait till the end, and then I just take this one and just weave it in.
hmm
And same process if you add thread, you just come along and start a new path, just like we're about to do here. And at the end, you just have all these little ends to weave in, and it's a habit from a different kind of looming where you can pull your warps in. It just kind of
Okay.
comes from that. But it also is
Yeah.
fast.
Oh, go ahead.
No, that's all. I was just saying it's also kind of quick, to get started. But it is loose that first time you're doing a stitch. You've got loose thread hanging out. But
Um, Something that I have these like miniature bead stoppers that I like to use for almost everything, and that's been a little
oh,
helpful to kind of keep it in place for the first few stitches. And then you can always just remove it there too. But I like what you're doing, which is just adding a loose woven bead. Yeah, that's
I
great.
like those little mini. So that means you kind of start these the same way then if you're using the stoppers. I think I have
hmm
some of those somewhere. I should try that. And I noticed Joan was using them. I watched Joan's tutorial the other day, and she was, I
Joan's
think,
really um, beefing up on the tutorials lately. I'm very impressed with her style of working and just her way of instructions.
yeah, she was using it to secure the beading wire. On if I remember correctly, and it worked like a charm. It was like on the other side of the loom, it had that little bead stop secure. It's really cool. So what I did here is I just threw 4 beads on. These are size 8, but you could use any size beads you want. I feel like you could use 6s, you could use 11s, whatever you got. But I just go ahead and try to eyeball what's mostly like a straight line from there,
hmm
and then just go through the capture chain on that side.
And I think hopefully it's been a bit easy to see where you are between the ball chain, between the beads of the ball chain, and maybe stitching through that um, kind of more purposefully.
Yeah, it's a good point. I can see them. Sometimes I have to try a couple times before I get it to where I'm happy with. Once I've got one started, then it's easier to get the next ones on.
Oh,
The first one, I always struggle with that, but so I'm going to try looking for the ball chain, like you said. Let's see. So I'm on this one here. So yeah, I want to go just roughly right through there. And I do try to circle around the actual ball chain itself when I come back through,
oh,
so
look
that
at
I'm not
that.
just going through
Yeah,
the, yeah, really pretty.
brilliant.
And just being careful not to miss it. But I'm trying to capture the actual center of the ball chain that's inside.
Ah.
Coming all the way back through.
Yeah,
So
I like how you just basically use it as a cording that you can sew through in and out fairly easy, it looks like.
yeah, is that how you do the stitching? I couldn't remember from you've done a couple where you've sewn with the chain, but I wasn't sure if you actually stitched through it or went around it.
I've done both actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think I approached it the same way that you're doing it now with your sewing.
Just kind of going through the chain.
Mm-hmm.
And then for how much tension to use, I'm trying not to use too much because I don't really want to indent it over there.
Mm-hmm.
But I want the thread to be tight enough that you don't really see the thread, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's grab another color here.
And in fact, I know you're using a black, it looks like a black thread, but Wildfire comes in a, I believe a tan color or even a brown one.
Yeah,
Dark brown. I
the
can't remember.
green, like I feel like the green or beige would be even better. It'd be harder to see
Ooh.
for this demo, but I do have,
Yeah.
I feel like I have some floating around here that I could even show it next to it.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I had it and now it's walked away. It was here. I might have actually put some right here. Here we go. Okay. So this is green. Sorry, this one is green.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
Green color, you can see that would be, hold it up a little bit.
That would disappear in the tinsel, wouldn't it? Because the tinsel has a little bit of green in it.
I feel like it would, yeah. So you really can't go wrong. Green, the beige should be gorgeous. All of that.
Perfect.
But yeah, so all I'm really doing here is just going through it, and I'm trying to, well, my goal being to hide the thread as much as I can, not to put any super pressure on the sides, and then also keeping my lines as, and so they don't buckle. I'm trying to make sure that each one has space to move. You can see it on a little bit on my first sample. They do buckle a little bit like that. So I found that on my second attempt, making it have a little bit more space than I feel like it needs gave me a lot flatter look. And so, like, it feels like there's too much space there, just looking at it right now. But that's what I did here, and it looks a lot cleaner. This one's still beautiful, but definitely there's room for where I could have improved a little bit with getting it to kind of be flatter.
I still love that though. I think the buckling, like it's so minimal already.
Yeah,
you must have just some superior eye for details, I think.
Extreme perfectionism.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, check it out. Like when you wear it, you don't see that.
Yes,
all people see is, hey, that's like the coolest bracelet. And you never see anything like this in a store. It's just like 100% unique and awesome.
And you made it. But yeah, that's a really good tip on the spacing. I have experienced that whenever I'm working on the loom too, is just to add a little bit more than what you think it would be, and then whenever all is said and done, it does lay a lot flatter.
Yeah, for sure. And it's something that I didn't used to have to think about until I started using the capture chain, because you know how on just a thread against thread, you can slide it around. But this one's kind of locked in place, which is a win, because now whatever I do here, it's not going to change on me, which is great.
Yeah.
And it's not going to stretch like sometimes the thread does.
So we've got a question. What do the numbers mean on seed bead size?
Oh, they are, well, they're kind of like in the same way wire gauges. They get smaller as the number gets higher. So like an 11-0 is smaller than an 8-0, for example. And as far as like millimeters, I know a 6 millimeter bead is roughly equivalent to like, a 6-0 seed bead is roughly equivalent to about a 4 millimeter bead.
Okay, gotcha.
And
So
so when,
yeah, these would be pretty tiny.
yeah, so and those
Probably,
I'm thinking are closer to like a 2 millimeter. I think
yeah,
they're
that's what I
2.7
would probably
or something like that.
guess. And they're a little bit squished too, so that's it's more like a 1.5 by 2 millimeter ish sort of a size, give or take. But you know, I have found that the size 8 seed beads are the most comfortable to stitch with. I used to be able to do size 15 seed beads,
Size 15s. Oh
which
wow, those are teeny.
yeah, I mean are just like what, like sand grain by that point, right?
Yeah, those are so tiny. They have,
I
they
can't,
definitely have their role in a design. Like if you're doing some seed beading,
yeah,
bead weaving designs, they're indispensable. But oh my gosh, I use them in
yeah. I
sketching.
mean, yeah, that's I think that's actually historically how I've used it too, is just for like the end of fringe or picot or something.
Yeah,
Um, I think these days I appreciate when I don't have to really use them. But
really.
the size 8 and the size 6 seed beads offer quick gratification, instant gratification for putting together a design fairly quickly.
I feel like that too. The size 8s they still are small enough to look very intricate and beautiful, but they're
Hmm.
not going to take you as much time as 11s. 11s
Yes,
are just like,
exactly.
you know, overachievement mode when I start working with those. But I make the exception for delicas because, oh, I love delicas.
It's been a while since I've worked with delicas, but I feel like that day, if I find the right project, I think is really what it comes down to. I had some ideas for making beaded beads for the capsule or burlesque chain. I just haven't done it yet. Maybe one day.
Oh, I'd love to hear those ideas.
Yeah, some beaded beads, which I feel like would be right up your alley.
Yeah, count me in for that class. I definitely. You start getting faster, I noticed, after you get going. It's the thing about looming is it's like this. I think it was actually Juliana that was saying it's meditative. It's just
It
really fun to
is.
do.
Well, and once you're past the part of setting up and you're just kind of like rolling. The only thing you really got to pay attention to is a pattern here. I feel like, but everything else is basically a repetition. So for this pattern, how does it work?
Oh well, I'm actually freestyling it, but I could, if anyone would like me to send like a PDF over. I meant to do it actually, and it slipped my mind. But to do a PDF of the ones that I've got here, they're super easy. Basically, all I do is I add a new bead. So like I'll start with a solid of 4, and
Hmm.
then I'll add one new bead at the bottom. So string of 3 and 1, and then 2 and 2, and then just 1 and 3, and then a solid row of that new color. And now from here, I'm switching the
Oh,
order, so it's going to look like a little triangle. But I'm
that is
just
so
playing
clever.
like super randomly. You can also just make it like stripes if you repeat by adding new colors, or you can make that triangle shape by either by accident, like in this one, or
I love
just
that. I like the variation of different shapes and stuff. You could even do solids and up like a block of color and then start with the triangle again. So there's so many possibilities with this pattern.
exactly. And I kind of like I've been challenging myself to introduce more randomness, and that's kind of something I was doing here.
Mm,
It's not
beautiful.
totally random because you can see I couldn't help myself. I still did a pattern, but it was mostly random.
Yeah, I love that.
Thanks. Yeah, so this is it. This is straight on till morning. You just keep doing that until you have the length that you want, and then kind of trying to compute in my head a little bit like how much overlap are you going to need for the button to close. So
Hmm.
I always think about that. But what I usually do is I will just add an inch for a button closure. And so knowing that I like to wear my bracelets a little bit tighter. If
I'm the
you
same
want
way,
to
yeah.
change, yeah, then making it kind of like maybe give yourself and it end it maybe 3/4 of an inch before you would otherwise have stopped a bracelet, knowing that it's going to come around and it's going to loop through, and then you're going to have once something's on, it's going to do this thing where it pulls. So you're going to have that space right
Right.
there.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
So what I did on this one over here is I just gave it about 6¼ inches or so, 6¾ or 6½. I don't remember exactly the measurement, but I kind of just compared another one to it. I held the other one up to it and saw. But it's going to be different depending on what length you're going for. But once you've got it here, I added what I think is going to be my last row.
Mm-hmm.
And so all that's left to do is weave in our beginning and our end, and then finishing the end. And that's pretty much it.
Oh, awesome. Well, let's see what.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm curious to see how you end it.
So I took it off the loom, but you could also weave it in while it's on the loom too. I just did this so I could get into the sides of the beads a little bit. And I did some of the same kind of weaving in that I would do on like a regular loom piece, with the exception of I don't have warps running in here. So what I did is I kind of went down to this next one down here. So just jumping down from there to there. And then I'm just picking up the top warp. It's really hard to see, but inside there, you remember how we had a strand running through the beads and then they come back and go through it again. So there's two strands running through each of these, right? And I'm just needle under the top one.
Oh, okay. So you kind of pick them apart with your needle and then just run it through those two.
Yeah, and you'll know you've caught it because you'll see the little thread. It's really hard to see, but you'll see the little thread sitting on top of your needle there. As you watch it reflect, you see that little. And I'll do that maybe through 2 or 3 of them. Here's the next one down. And then here's the next one down. If I can get that one.
Man, even with the black thread, it's pretty well hidden in the chain.
Yeah, you really can't see it much, but this really gives you a solid woven in. I'll do this 2 times. I'll go through maybe 3 rows, right? And then pull that down. Try not to catch my other strands. And so from here, I'll jump over through all my beads. And over here, I'm just going to try to exit on top of my capture chain if I can. If I end up going through it, go ahead and just go through it. And turn and come down to the next row.
I see. Okay, so yeah, you go halfway in through the capture chain and you end up on the other side, and then you just go through the 2 threads that run between the top sides of the beads, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And if like what I was doing here, I couldn't quite exit from this row without getting through the capture chain, so I didn't even really try. I just did a turn, and now I'm working. I'm in a position where I would go right through this row below it. But instead of doing that, I'm going to just do that same thing again. I'm going to try to pick up my weft thread that's hiding in between the beads there. And it's a little tricky to do. And there's other ways you could weave in, but it's just kind of my go-to way. There, I got the first one. And I got the second. There we go. Maybe the third one. A little tighter weave on this side, but looks like I got through it. And I'm going to go through 1 more row of beads and then just trim it.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, so that's like, you could do that 1 more time if you wanted to be extra sure that it made it. But and there's that side done.
Excellent. I like it.
And all I would do over here is the same thing, just weaving that in. And so this is the part that actually is hard for me, putting these on. I've watched a bunch of your videos, though, in prep for this moment.
And of course, now you have an audience.
I know, right? The tool magic really helped me. And then I think I got this tip from your video to open it up first before you try to put it on. Is that right?
Yes. I just do a little bit to help help the chains fit in a little bit more easily into those channels. Yeah,
So just a
there you
little bit
got
there.
it. Yeah, that's perfect.
And so once again, I'm just going to take a look at it. And I'm measuring it the really old-fashioned way here, but so I want it to be like right there.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to confidently trim. And just kind of fold these in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And there we go.
Oh, brilliant. Look at that.
And
it's like you've been doing it forever.
I'm like cheering in my head right now. Like, yay, I didn't mess it up.
Yes, it looks really good.
These findings are really cool. You invented these, right?
I did not. I've been working with a manufacturer, one of my close vendors that I work with a lot, and we've sort of helped improve them and also expand the color line, but I can't really take credit for inventing them, unfortunately. I just continue with the good stuff, really, just keeping it out there and
Yeah.
you know, letting people have access to them and
They're perfect. They're the
use them for their jewelry. Yeah. Thank you.
the
I'm
idea
glad to hear
use
that.
them this way. It's just amazing.
I will say the antique copper and the antique brass color within the same line didn't exist before, so that's kind of a fun addition, and those colors definitely get used quite a bit with design, so I'm glad that that was a pretty successful add-on.
I love them. The brushed copper is my favorite.
Yeah, I really love the brushed copper, and it's perfect for the more earthy tone designs that I sort of gravitate toward.
Yeah. No, they're gorgeous. And so I've got some leather here. I think this is about 1.5 millimeter, if I had to guess. Looks like
Okay.
it. I didn't label my spool. But
That's okay. Yeah, it looks like a pretty small on the smaller gauge, I guess, that 1 to 2. Well, it's probably not 1 millimeter because that's one I've seen the 1 millimeter, so it has to be 1.5.
Yeah, I'm thinking it is because there is yeah, downstairs I just got a bunch of the smaller diameter ones. I think it was 1. So this has got to be 1.5. It's a little bit on the smaller side, but I could probably get away with even 2 millimeter leather with this button. One thought I was having was you could also, it's a little tricky to get your capture chain through it, but if you wanted to, you could put the button on that side and then just do button loops. I feel like that would work.
You know, I think Juliana did that with one of her pieces, if I remember correctly. It ended up really well.
Oh, so cool.
As she was able to make it work and go through pretty easily.
All I really did was just overhand knots. You could do a really pretty barrel knot too. They both work. I feel like there's a lot of different ways you could do this. This was just what I was just playing and trying to give it some air, if that makes sense, for when it clasps. And yeah, I just brought it through. It'd be fun to put some beads on the end.
I think so too. I mean, more is more.
Yeah, exactly. But I would love to see other ideas for how do you guys finish your buttons with leather? So I'm not a leather worker by any means. I just kind of play, and I might have to grab some size 6C beads and put those on the ends before I trim it. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
So stinking cute. I love that.
I love these buttons.
I also like it. Kind of has a nice like nostalgic vintage feel to it too, and I think the button definitely adds that extra, I don't know, like zhuzh to the color palette. Kind of reminds you of a little Mandela or something.
I love this one, and this sunshine one. Look at that. It just gives me so much like all the feels.
Yeah. I'm
And
gonna
so I
say
definitely got to finish. I got to finish this other one. I've got a few other buttons, and when I finish it, I'll post. I think I'm gonna do all orange and yellow mustard for that.
I think that would be so great. It's definitely. I wish like I could have gotten out my jewel loom and did that tonight too, but didn't get quite to my supplies quite in time to be able to make that work. But I feel
Aw,
inspired now just from looking at what you've done.
thank
And
you.
you know what's funny is that you were able to make 2 bracelets, which you can do with the set of materials if you just purchase a or have a spool of the 3-foot capture or pearlesque chain, and then you get a set of class or a triple strand end caps because there's 2 per package. You could
Hmm.
easily get 2 bracelets out of that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. No, it's perfect, and I have so much left over too. There's the rest of my chain is here, and I had just one of these packs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is at least another bracelet, maybe more,
Ooh,
maybe 2
totally.
bracelets here.
Yeah. Looks
Yeah,
like
I
you
got.
got the 6-footer, I think, packaging, which is that's a lot of silver silk to be making lots
I
of
go big.
goodies. Yeah.
Yeah,
Make a whole series of it.
but my
Oh,
fear of
that's
running out. I'm
great.
like, no way, because it's really nice stuff. So I always make sure I
Oh,
have it on
I'm
my.
so glad.
And the tip from Joan, absolutely, I'm going to save these
Yes.
ends because look, this is an earring right here. That's the whole
It
point.
really is. Like you fold it in half and you could put a little double strand end cap on it and you got yourself a little earring on the fly.
Yeah, even that. Even if I just put that on the end cap and put a charm or a gemstone bead,
Hmm.
super simple.
Yeah, do
Love it.
not throw away the scraps because I have kept a lot of my scraps just with and then used them in my tutorials and stuff too just because I'm like, well, it's too good to throw away. So, but might as well just get creative with it. So
Oh, for
get
sure.
some extra
Yeah.
mileage of the silver silk.
Yeah. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. Well, I love this project so much, Danielle. This was such an incredible exercise for this design. Let me flash the graphic one more time.
I saw another idea pop up there from, that's from Joan, right? She's saying you can put one of those. We did that beaded end cap. That was one of the projects we did. I think
Let's see,
maybe
was
the
it this
last
one?
slide. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
but
cute to
what
put
is
that
it?
on the end there.
Oh.
That's a good
Oh
idea. Thanks, Joan.
yeah. Yeah, I'm remembering now. That's such a great idea. That would have been a cute little like beaded bead at the end or a beaded end cap.
I need to bring that back with this color though, like with the mustard.
Oof.
That'll be.
You know, I would be all over
Yeah, I'll make those for you.
that. Just the color mustard. It just goes with everything. I don't care what anybody says. It goes with everything.
And
That
it'll
and
be a new
turquoise is
season
how I
for
feel
it.
about it.
Yeah, and turquoise. See if this had turquoise in it. Yeah,
I'm saying, like,
yeah,
sold. Make me so.
for sure. I might need that turquoise pearlesque chain. Get some of that.
Ooh, done and done. You know, actually, I haven't made one, but I was kind of toying with the idea. The thing with the tinsel, because I've had to sort of really evaluate and audit my chain lines, is that it reacts better on some chains than it does other ones. So, for example, I tried one time to make the seafoam capture chain, which is just a silver ball chain with the seafoam color wire on it, into a pearlesque chain.
Ooh.
And the silver from the ball chain drowns out the tinsel completely. So it looks
Oh,
like just seafoam capture chain. And I was just like, this is kind of a sad production because it's not as sparkly as I was hoping. But I'm wondering what the gunmetal ball chain would do, like if it would enhance it enough. It's a lot of weird chemistry stuff that happens on the back end. I
but
could
even the
bore you with
one
it
like,
all day.
oh yeah, I know, I would go crazy. But I was thinking like the one with what you said, it drowned out the chain, but the tinsel would still hide thread, so it's
I
still.
guess, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
more so than the capture chain would, because yeah, there's nothing inside that, so you could really see everything unless you used a coordinating thread. But even then, you'd still be able to see some thread path, I think. So the pearlescent chain is a great one to stitch on because there's a lot of meat inside of the actual sleeve
Exactly.
of the
And
knitted
it holds
wire.
it
Yeah.
so nicely. It just really like, it makes it like less bendy, right?
Yeah, there's no like what did you say earlier? It was like the kinks that thread kind of makes if you pull too tight, an indent.
It doesn't do
That seems
that.
to be a little bit more resistant to the indents and stuff.
Yeah, it's just like so perfect.
So great.
Love it.
Yay.
So yeah, keep making this. Lots of pretty colors.
I'm saying, I'm ready for it.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, I am so delighted that everyone out there can join in on our little class and some fun time. I learned a few tips and tricks from Danielle, and I know you guys have. And it's just such a delight, Danielle, to be around, and just such a calming, like, lovely spirit, lovely human being.
And you are as well.
Oh,
I love being on
thanks.
these lives. These are really fun for me, so I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, I was gonna, if Joan wasn't gonna run away quickly, could I bring you on?
Let's bring Joan. Joan, are you there?
I'm gonna do it just because I'm mean.
Yay!
That's right. I was gonna be out of here.
You're like, nope, I gotta go. Oh yeah, there we go. Like, can we just do a?
So cool.
Oh, the camera broke. No. I just love watching you, Danielle. You gave me a lot of great ideas with that because I hadn't, I have been wrapping my wildfire around the capture chain, but because of the big beads, I didn't even think about it'd be a lot easier with the seed beads because the big beads kind of get wonky, but the little beads will stay in line.
So that's so cool.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to fit in time to make one.
I know, right? So many projects. There's so much.
You don't want to see around my laptop right now, all the stuff around.
Oh, we're all there. We've all got.
Yeah, I mean, I had to really do some work to like, oh no, I left something out that I was supposed to put away, but I kind of just shoved it all behind the camera for now, all of my unfinished things. So I get it. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining me this evening, and I want to thank everyone out there. I had such a great time learning from the Miss Fabulous Danielle Wickes and hanging out with her as well. And we'll definitely bring her back if she wants to come back. If you say yes, it's a commitment.
I said yes.
Next week.
Well, we'll make it happen. All righty. Well, I will leave you guys to create for the evening, and I will catch you at the next tutorial and/or roundup that will happen, I believe, next Tuesday. So I guess we'll just hug it out there in the digital world.
I've been trying to practice.
This is like the Nile virtual hug because this is how I do it, and then I give a little squeeze like that. All right. Bye, everyone out there.
Bye, guys.